Welcome, everyone, to Shade Canyon's second video podcast. This time, we're interviewing our teachers and talking more about the academic portion or the classroom portion of what we do here at Shade Canyon. And I thought we'd just start off with some brief introductions. So again, my name is Tim Delatorre. I'm the administrator here. This is my first year at Shade Canyon, and I'm really just so pleased to work with this incredible team of educators here. And I want to hand it off next to Maggie.
And my name is Maggie Lieb. I'm the vice principal, and I'm really delighted to be at Shade Canyon. I feel like Tim said, we have a wonderful team, and it really is a pleasure working with everyone here. So thank you all.
And I'm Miss Birdie. I'm the office manager, allegedly. And this is my second year. I think everyone knows me. So I'll move on to John, Mr. Vaughn.
Hi, my name is John Vaughn. I'm the first grade teacher, and this is my first year at Shade Canyon School.
I'm Rachel Anderson. I am one of the TK and kindergarten teachers at Shade Canyon, and it is my second year there.
I'm Vanessa Klein. I'm the other TK kindergarten teacher, and it's my first year as well.
And I'm Savannah Mitchell. I teach the second, third grade combo class, and it's my second year there. And I'm a co-founder of Shade Canyon as well.
Thanks, everyone. So let's just jump right in. I think, why don't we start with the question, tell us about your classroom, maybe a little bit about your curriculum and your daily rhythm. Like, what does the classroom look like in your area? And honestly, whoever wants to go first can go first, and we'll just let everybody have a chance.
I'll start. So in the Waldorf grades, main lesson is the first 2 hours of the day, and that's when new academic content is taught. That's when we really do some review. There's usually this 3-day rhythm to what we teach, where a story was told and then we'll work with it for a couple of days. And this works within blocks that are usually 4 to 5 weeks long. And so for the most part, Mr. Vaughn and I both will alternate between language arts and math. And that's not to say that social studies and science is not part of it. It's just interwoven in. And so the focus is usually new math concepts or new language arts concepts. And so that goes on for 2 hours, and then the children will get a break for snack and recess, and then we have specialty classes that will come in, and these go anywhere from garden to handwork, where the children are learning to knit, or they will have Spanish or music or a games class. And then we do have some periods where we can review. So if I'm in a math block, then I'll do some language arts during my skills periods. And they will have lunch, and we always end the day with the students cleaning up the classroom and kind of taking responsibility and ownership for the space. And so even though every day is a little bit different, we have this daily rhythm that's pretty consistent.
I kind of want to piggyback on that daily rhythm a little bit, just because I think it's such an important thing, a skill that we carry forward into our lives, is having a daily rhythm and we have a routine, a healthy routine that can work for us. So that's something we really try to teach the kids. We're exercising every day. We're saying verses, which are essentially positive affirmations daily. And we're practicing a variety of skills that maybe only take a few minutes or moments to do, but after 100 days or a whole school year or so, the kids get really good at counting by sevens and other things like that. So I really think that is a really helpful part of the way we do things at Shade Canyon. And it's something that the kids can use and build upon throughout their whole life, not just in the early grades.
That's great. And maybe before Vanessa and Rachel tell us about their classrooms, it's worth saying this year we have 2 kindergarten TK combined classrooms. Next year, we're going to be accepting younger students in for TK, and we're going to actually split those. So we're going to have more of a TK aged classroom that I think Rachel's going to head, probably ages 4 to before 5, somewhere in there, 4 to 5, and then we'll have Vanessa take the older kindergarten, but maybe some of the younger as well, like closer to 5 to 6. So how that division happens exactly, we haven't, it's going to be a little squishy until we get right until school starts. But so the way that you guys have been doing school this year is going to be a little bit different from the way you do it next year. But still, I think it'd be great for you to just talk to us about your classrooms, how they look, how they feel, what your daily rhythm is like.
All right, well, Rachel, you can chime in too, because so much of Rachel and I do the same thing. So talk over me, Rachel, if you want to, whatever. But so yeah, we have a daily rhythm that really is based on the breath in and breath out. And the kids, we start with outdoor play. We come in and we play outside, rain or shine or snow, as today was the case. And we'll play outside for about half an hour, and we come in, and then the rituals begin. The children know where to hang their things. They each have a special spot. We sing songs as we walk indoors, and then the mood kind of changes and the energy comes in, and we wash hands and we sing as we come into the classroom. Then we do circle, and the circle is a huge part of our day. It's where we are. And let me back up. For our circle, we work with a 2 to 3 week rhythm with a story, where we'll first start to. Well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, Rachel, aren't I, to stories? Circle is more where we're greeting the day, we're repeating rhymes, we're learning poems. We also are doing movement. This is where we're doing some movement, working with crossing the body lines. And that goes on for about, depending on the day, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then we move into a daily activity, and that's a set schedule. On Mondays we do handwork, Tuesdays painting, Wednesdays drawing, Thursdays bread making, and Friday is soup day. And this is a key part to our curriculum. And after that, we do free play. We move into snack, where we all eat snack together. We've created the snack together. The children have helped in the making of the snack, the cooking. Before we eat, we always say verse, and we thank Mother Earth for what we've created, what she's created, what we've created. And then it's a quiet time for sitting and eating snack. That's a real quiet kind of sacred time where the children kind of calm their bodies down, and we encourage tasting your food and slowing down and noticing how the food tastes and smells and feels. And then from there, the children wash their own dishes. Tell me if I'm going too long, Rachel.
No, you're hitting everything.
The children wash their own dishes, which is just so darling, and it's such a lovely message of, they take pride in everything they're doing. And it's a nice message and learning point for them to learn how to take care of their own things and respect all the process of how we get there. And then from there, we go outside for more outdoor play. And then when we come in is when we do the story time, and maybe I'll let Rachel talk. And that's where we have this 2 to 3 week cycle, similar to the grades cycles, but a little bit shorter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So with our story, as Vanessa said, we have a 2 to 3 week cycle, depending on the story that's been chosen. And the stories, they're usually some type of fairy tale or folk tale, folklore kind of story. And usually we'll tell that story kind of in the middle of the week. So Monday and Friday might be a storybook or some other type of story. But then Tuesday through Thursday, for that first week, what we do is we tell it just orally. There isn't a picture book or anything, because we want the children to picture it themselves in their own minds and create their own images. The second week, we'll do a puppet show of that story. And then if there is a third week, we'll have the children act it out themselves. And that's probably one of my favorite things, honestly, because at that point, it's fun for me and really cute to watch, to see who has they just love doing that part. They all want to volunteer and do it, and you can see too, like, who's really kind of internalized the story and is
absorbed it, and they remember the lines and just, you think they're not soaking it all in, but they are.
They are. They're paying attention. They're listening and they're remembering, and it's beautiful to watch. And then after story, we have our lunchtime, and that's probably about a half hour. And then it's time for us to do closing verse and get ready to go home for the day.
Birdie, Maggie, anything you want to add before we jump on to the next question?
I would just have 2 points to make. One of the things that I really admire about this school is that I see philosophies in place that have been part of my teaching philosophy throughout my career. And one of them is the focus on holistic education. We're focused on educating the whole person, not just academically, but also emotionally and socially and spiritually and physically. And that's something that's always been a tenet of mine since I started my teaching career. So I see that in play here, and it's really wonderful to see. The other thing that I see that I really appreciate is the fact that the children take ownership of taking care of their environment. They all have jobs at the end of the day, and they clean up their classrooms. And, I was in Mr. Vaughn's classroom just the other day, and I said, wow, it looks really clean in here. And, he told me that the children had pretty much cleaned it up. And I had, based on my experience teaching in Japan, the students in Japanese elementary schools, they really take cleaning their school as a mark of pride. So I love to see that. It suggests to me that we are educating children to be aware of being part of something larger than themselves, and being aware of being part of a social contract. And that's really, really important for producing well-adjusted citizens in the future. So it's good for the individual, but it's also good for the community and society at large.
I don't have anything to add other than I am very impressed by my children's teachers. And my kids have been with Miss Rachel and Mrs. Mitchell for 2 years now, and they are doing great. So anecdotally, best job ever.
Awesome. Thank you. I think the next question that I have on here is just because I think, as a number of parents are considering, public school or Shade Canyon as a charter school, like, maybe can you just tell us, what do you think are some things that make Shade Canyon, or in your classroom in particular, different or unique from public education?
So after listening to kindergarten, it made me think, oh yeah, I want to explain how we do these things in the grades too. And it's definitely part of what makes us different is oral storytelling continues on. Like, if you did Waldorf through high school, you're still going to have oral storytelling. You're going to hear the American Revolution through oral tradition of what happened. And I think that this speaks to the goal of Waldorf education is to educate the hands, the heart, and the head. Where a lot of public schools, there's so much focus on academics, and academics are important, but it's not the whole picture, and it's not the only objective that we have as teachers is to. So we're trying to educate the whole child, and how you educate the heart. A lot of the time, like, what moves people is it's stories. And so storytelling is a big part of Waldorf curriculum. I've been, in the last couple of weeks, just noticing certain social things going on in the classroom. And so then I'll create a story that is based on what's happening in the classroom, but it's told in a way where we're not talking about what so-and-so said about someone else, but we're talking about feelings through stories. And then we can work with that in a way that's, okay, now we're going to draw a picture of this, and we're going to internalize it in a way that they're really feeling it in their heart. And we don't have to really over-intellectualize what's happened and what things are happening socially, because that can oftentimes make children feel like some guilt or shame, and that's not really our goal. And it can also just bring out more problems, I think, and maybe not impact them the way that we want. And so anyways, academic lessons are being taught through oral storytelling. That's part of that 3-day rhythm, is that they hear the story first, and then they'll work with it artistically, and then they'll work with it kind of on a more academic way of maybe it's solving math problems or it's doing some writing. So anyways, it's a huge part of Waldorf education. And then that breathing in and breathing out is also something that Waldorf teachers are just really conscious of. And it's that, maybe we're starting the day with movement. I know in my class we are. I think actually all of our classrooms we start with some movement. And so that's like an out breath. And it's just this idea of that as human beings, we breathe, and we have to breathe in a healthy way where we're not holding our breath all the time and we're not exhaling all the time, but that we do this also in our behaviors and actions, that there's times to be really focused and kind of quiet, and then there's times to be moving and social. And we even see it in the seasons, that we have some seasons where it's winter and you kind of stay home and you stay cozy, and it's more of this in breath. And then comes spring and summer and we really go out, and we're, maybe out later, the sun's out more. And so it's just mirroring that and mirroring those cycles in our classroom, so that there's a time where students are maybe skip counting, doing jumping jacks, and it's a big out breath. And then there's times where it's really quiet and we're doing the story. And then there might be another time where they're going to act out that story. And now that story that was an in breath turned into an out breath. And so it's just part of what Waldorf teachers are doing throughout the day, and that you want to balance them.
Yeah, and I think that the concept of balance and really having a more natural schedule for the kids. We see a lot of time in public school, it just seems very unnatural. Everything runs by the bell, and there's no room there around that. And something that we do here is that we really focus on academics in my class for about 2 to 2.5 hours, usually in the earlier part of the day. After that, we're doing handwork, we're doing clay work, we're doing these other fine motor skills, which are really beneficial for a lot of skills that somebody could develop throughout their life. So it's more than just having a kid in a desk all day. I know for me personally that sitting in a chair for 6 hours a day was the hardest part of school. And if I could do something other than that, I think I would have been a lot more happy during that time. So, since we allow the kids to have more time to work on things other than just strict academics the whole time, they become actually more excited about it. And I had kids come from public school and come into the classroom, and their parents are saying they were miserable because they were being drilled and they were struggling in, say math. And then now they're being taken out of art class so that they could get extra math work. And it was just compounding. And then they're going home with lots of homework, even in the early grades. And so they felt really overwhelmed by that. And now my kids, I'm a first grade teacher. I don't give my kids homework. But when they go home, they are doing their work with their parents because they're excited about it. And they want to show their parents, look, this is what we're learning in school. This is the math. They ask me for worksheets so that they can take home and do at home, and they'll come in and show me. And that's something I've never seen before. So I think that's, Waldorf education really has that part of it right. And it's really exciting to see as a teacher. One last thing, I was talking about this with Maggie the other day, is that one of the big differences that I see with our school and other public schools is that there's more buy-in. Kids, teachers, parents, as far as what we're doing here and the effectiveness of it. In public school, it's kind of just like, almost in a way, it feels like a lot of people are just doing their time in there and getting pushed through. Where, sorry to be so harsh, but in our school, we really care about making this work for the school and for every student. And I think that really shows.
All right. Thank you, John. Yeah, everyone has their own experience with public education, right? And I think there's pros and cons, but yeah, we we're here doing things a little bit differently, even though we're still able to provide a free public education for all the students in Lake County and even in surrounding counties. So happy to be here. So, Rachel, Vanessa, anything that you want to add about what you think makes Shade Canyon in your classroom a little bit unique to public school?
Yeah. So there's some pretty big differences between how our kindergarten works versus at a public school. Mostly because we're more play-based, so the kids have a lot more opportunity to play and use their imagination. And I know sometimes people might wonder, well, what are they learning while they're doing all this playing? And I mean, to me, when I see them play, I see them learning about how to socialize and interact with other people, which is huge. And it's so important to start learning at a young age. And yeah, so
they're problem solving. They're being I mean, the things that they're building during this free play, it's just beautiful, beautiful worlds they're creating in the free play. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Rachel.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. You know, sometimes I'm just amazed at the things the kids are able to create and come up with. And, you know, watching a child who previously didn't always know how to solve problems with a friend, or, you know, maybe there was something going on, but now they're able to figure it out and solve whatever maybe little conflicts they have together without me having to step in quite so much. So it's really beautiful to watch. And I would say the other big thing for us at Shade Canyon is class size. Right now we each have, is it 16, Vanessa? You have 16 as well?
Yes.
Whereas the last time I worked at a public school, I think I had a class of 27, which was really, really big and hard to manage. And I wasn't able to get to know the students to the same degree that I'm able to get to know them here at Shade Canyon.
I'll add in too, as part of our curriculum, we don't focus on excuse me, academics in the traditional way, like Rachel was saying. I don't have to spend so much time on data collection and assessment and putting a kindergartner in front of a Chromebook to take a test. And instead what we're doing, like with the handwork, I don't think enough could be said about the handwork and what's going on when the children are stitching or doing finger knitting. I mean, they're learning fine motor skills that will help them with their writing. They're learning naturally how to build these skills instead of being forced to hold the pencil a certain way at this too early for them. The handwork is building concentration, patience. You know, it's encouraging them to feel proud of their work. I mean, if we've talked about the creativity and the self-expression, that of course will come, but I think there's something to be said for the rhythm of when they know it's the knitting day or the sewing day, they look forward to it and they're building their skills. You know, I'm not a scientist in this realm, but I think it's also, you know, the cognitive development that's going on when you're doing all this handwork all the time, the problem solving when they make a stitch, you know, or stitching goes wrong. They have to figure that out. And it's empowering when they do. And it's so cute when they figure it out. So there's a lot to be said about the handwork in a kindergarten curriculum that I think people don't really realize what's being developed there during that time. So that's my biggest difference, I think, from a public school.
I just wanted to point out from my perspective, what you're building in kindergarten is a resilience, right? They're learning to work with all these things in a natural way. And then when we are introducing those academics in first grade, they've already come up against, oh yeah, knitting was hard, but I did it. And now they're like, oh, math is hard. I could do that too. So I think that's kind of really important part of our early childhood education here. That's all.
Along the line of resiliency, I would say that as a student, I did not necessarily do that well in or elementary school, at least. And so part of, I think, what I like to bring into my classroom is also this like spirit of overcoming that, like, if something isn't clicking right away, like it doesn't mean that you have failed and that this is never going to work, but just this continuing to try and to practice. And I feel like this is kind of a theme through Waldorf also is it's about doing your best work. Like we're not giving out report cards at the end of the school year. We're giving out narratives about how the child has grown and what they've accomplished and what we see, characteristics, social, like just this whole picture of the child. And that, yeah, it's not about getting an A or an F. It's about each student just really trying their best and doing their best. And I'll encourage my students to do beautiful work. I've had a student tell me, like, no one's ever told me to do beautiful work before. They're used to like, how fast can I do my work and get it done? But they'll do form drawing, which is something that's unique to Waldorf. It's this like kind of practice, almost meditative, of making these forms that are really beautiful. And I'll find those sometimes in the border of math, like they might be working on something that's just unrelated, but they're now making their work very beautiful. And so I think also as a Waldorf teacher, like I'm not the best singer, but it's that I strive to do better. And I think as a teacher that's the role model for them, they can see, okay, well, my teacher might not be the best artist or singer, but is continuing to try and to like put yourself out there. Because I also see a lot of students that have some anxiety about maybe coming in front of the class and trying something if they're not quite sure that they have the right answer or can do it perfectly. And so just trying to get rid of that and create this new culture and environment where it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to just keep showing up and doing your best.
Yeah, and I think that that environment where we're not giving these A through F grades really, for me, I feel like it gives me the freedom to really differentiate, to really meet the kid where they're at. So I have some students that are reading at a very high level for first grade. And I've, like a bell curve, there's a group of students in the middle, and I have students who are struggling in different areas. And because they're smaller classes and because these kids now aren't really stressing about, getting a bad grade. For me, I remember that was very stressful as a kid, my report card. And, now I'm able to really give different assignments to different kids and really give it the attention that I need to know in order to really see where they're at. And I'm able to challenge all the students where they're at. And I think that's really helpful, rather than just giving like kind of a standard pass, trying to pass one test or one paper. Some kids are in first grade and they're already doing pretty well with basic multiplication and division. And so, I allow them that, and they're very proud of it. And I think that they might not have had that opportunity in a different classroom.
That's great. And I think I want to transition now to, we've talked so much about like the big picture of like what's happening, like what Waldorf education is, what happens in your classrooms. But I think one of the other things that prospective parents or current parents might want to know more about is you as individuals. Like you each are people that bring something about yourself, who you are, your essence, your interests to the classroom. So maybe just tell us a little bit about like, what talents, interests, and abilities, what aspects of your personality do you try to share with your students and show up in the classroom?
I love to paint. So that's just the fact that I can paint. That's like such a joy to me that I can do that at work, and get my students excited about it. That's, I love the painting part of our curriculum. I just find I can see some students get very excited by it, and sometimes some students get very zen about it and stay and paint for a long time. And it's just, that's my personally favorite part. And speaking to what Savannah said about not being the best singer, and I love that my cohort over here, Rachel, is the music teacher, and I can go to Rachel for help with me. Like, can you please read these notes to me and hum how I'm supposed to sing, so that's been helpful to me. But to answer your question, visual arts, I love visual arts. It's sort of my.
I can go next. Yeah, so as Vanessa said, I do also teach music to the grades. I have loved music probably since I think I discovered it maybe around 8 years old, when I started in band, and then I started piano lessons and just loved it. And so yeah, in fact, I was a music major for a couple of years in college. So I really enjoy just bringing music and bringing that joy of music to the school. I also love crafts. And actually a lot of the things we do in kindergarten, I really enjoy. I love making bread. I love cooking. I love, all the handwork type things. So I just really enjoy bringing, I guess, that enjoyment of different skills to the classroom.
Could I add something here? I think it's really wonderful when teachers have passions and they share those passions with the children, because when you have a passion for something, you have a joy for it, and joy is contagious, and you're showing the children how to be happy and how to be passionate about something and how to be joyful about something. So I see that there are so many different talents and abilities among the teachers on this staff. It's like a tapestry of skills that we're sharing with the children. And I just remember, as a teacher myself, I never felt confident in my artistic abilities, but I felt that I was able to facilitate the children being artistic and creative themselves. Whereas I, like Rachel, I loved music. So I learned piano, I learned singing, I learned guitar. So when I pulled out my guitar to sing with the students, they loved it. And then just a few weeks ago, I love dance. And I teach dance aerobics. And a few weeks ago, we had a dance party for 15 minutes with the kids. And it was just a wonderful, communal, joyful experience. And, quite a few of the children came up afterwards and said, can we do it again? And just maybe a week or two ago, one of the first graders said to me, Mrs. Lieb, how come we don't work out anymore? I said, what do you mean? And she says, oh, you remember you and that other lady and the music? And I said, oh, our dance party. And I said, yeah, maybe we can do that again sometime. But I said, you do work out, you do exercise. You exercise every day. You run, you move, you have recess. So these are all things that we're passionate about, that when we share these passions with the children, we're sharing joy with them. And that's really important. We're teaching them to enjoy life. And to do it through their passions and skills.
So something I'm passionate about, and it's a great deal of my work history has been in, is counseling and just mental health and practices. And it's something that is definitely ingrained in the Waldorf curriculum. And also, the curriculum really allows you to insert yourself, part of who you are. And actually my mentors have encouraged that. And so every day with my class, we practice mindfulness. We have a mindfulness exercises that we practice. We practice, as I said, positive affirmations, and we exercise. And that's how we begin every day. And, I think it really helps them a lot. And especially, we run around the school a couple of times. They need that because I tell them, you're running around the classroom all day. You can definitely run around the school. So there's a no running rule, but, so, I'm able to bring things that I'm passionate about and into the classroom and really use my experience working in group homes and trauma treatment facilities to try to navigate all the different personalities and relationships in a way that they're enjoying themselves, they're being themselves, they're expressing themselves, but they also know how to behave in a classroom and how to treat your friends nicely. I like to bring all those things into my classroom, and it's enjoyable.
I want to say something. The other day, I was speaking of John's expertise in mental health, and we were circled up at the yard. We say verse every morning as a school. Mrs. Siegel leads us in our school verse. And before that, I had been tapping myself, I think, tapping John. And later, and because I enjoy tapping, I find it useful for me to reset my nervous system or calm me down. And I was using it for myself. And as I was doing, I was thinking, oh, I haven't taught the children this yet. I need to. And so I was going through it. Anyway, and then later in that day, John was so kind, such a kind, like, this is our staff. He's like, I saw you tapping. I just want to check in with you and make sure you're doing okay. And I, it was just a very sweet moment. And, that's who we are here at Shea Canyon. We watch out for one another and we notice things, and we have time in our schedules and to check in on each other and with the children and notice those things and differentiate and all that stuff. So thank you, John.
And then I don't know if Savannah, if you wanted to add anything, or Birdie, before we move on to the next question.
I feel like I don't have a particular talent or interest, but I do love to try all kinds of different, am I an avid hiker? I wouldn't say I'm an avid hiker, but I do love hiking. So yeah, I'll schedule field trips where we're going to go on a hike, or I can kind of play the guitar, but not that well. But if I'm learning a song and it could just be just simple kind of nursery rhyme, folk kind of music, then yep, I'm going to teach it to my class and we're going to do it together. It's just whatever is interesting me at the time. And it could be a mental health tip that I learned or read an article on, and then I'm going to incorporate it into my classroom in some way of something cool that I've learned recently, or it could be a handwork kind of project. I also being that we have, like Maggie had said, you want to share that joy of what it is that you're passionate about. And it's we do have people that are passionate of handwork and garden and clay and music. And so they're there sharing their expertise. But as the teacher, I also, whatever it is that I'm interested in at the time, even if it's only for a few months that I'm really into something, I'm definitely going to find a way to bring it into the classroom. And Waldorf is so flexible that it allows me to find a way to weave it in.
Thank you. Can you speak a little bit to the kinds of relationships that you would like to have with your students' parents? What's the ideal relationship or role between a teacher and parents?
Oh, I guess it's just a partnership. It's a partnership where we're working together. We have to have fluid communication so that, we're helping your children grow, and we know we need to know what's going on at home in order to support and, help the children in any way we can. So, the open communication that's what I would love the most, back and forth.
Yeah, and there are different relationships with different needs and with different kids, and but the main thing is I just really like to keep parents informed, and I like for them to know what's going on in the classroom. That way, if there's an issue with behavior, or if I'm concerned about something with academics, we can be working on it on both sides, at home and in school. And I find that really helpful for managing the class and for the kids. And also, we have a need for rides to field trips. We try to go on field trips regularly, and we'll have parties, and parents will bring decorations and snacks and stuff like that. I have a parent that helps me with laundry. We have some laundry in the class, and as I said, we have a lot of rags. We go through rags because the kids do cleaning. So, there's quite a bit of support. But I think the best support we could get is really when a kid's struggling, whether with behavior or with academics. Having the support from the parents, it can mean everything for sure.
I have so parents, I think it's really important that there's some communication and that as the class builds a community, that the parents of the students in that class build a community as well. And I think for a charter school, it's a school of choice. So every family is not here by accident, like they've all chosen to come to this school. And so the support from parents is just, it's huge. And I know for my class, I've got jobs for each parent. I've got 17 students, and so I've made 17 jobs, and I'm asking for support depending on different skills. So yeah, I have a parent that comes in once a week to clean the classroom. It could be as simple as bringing flowers to beautify our classroom every week, or the laundry fairy that does take those cleaning rags and painting rags and wash them every week. I've got a parent that will help with the class parties and organizing those, which we'll have a few a year. And we'll do a class play. And so I have some volunteers that are going to help keep the students backstage and helping with costumes. And I have a library helper that's getting books for the class, depending on the interest of the students. We did like a reading interest survey. And so I gave that to the library helper to go get some books. And so I think it's just this involvement. Like the more children see their parents supporting the school and buying into it, and it's like it becomes part of their family's culture of like, our school is important to us, my parents care about it, I care about it, and it becomes a bigger part of their lives. And studies have been done to show that that really helps support student success in school. And so I think the more that we have parents involved in the school, we also have the Parent Community Council, which they're meeting, I think it's once a month, but they put on festivals. They're helping support the teachers. They're helping with fundraising. As a charter school, our funding is the same as a public school, but we don't have extra funds to build out our campus the way we're dreaming to. We've got parents that are helping in the garden. So anyways, I just think that the ideal relationship would be that parents are like on campus, they're wanting to help out, they're communicating a lot with the teachers, and that they're excited about the school as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah. And
Can I say something, Tim? Sorry.
Yes, please do.
I just want to, from kind of the office perspective, the relationship with parents is it's important to me, and I think Maggie and Tim also, that parents feel safe communicating with us. Like there are some families that can feel persecuted or come after because of rules about attendance or school, or just they don't want to share maybe what's going on with home because they are scared something could happen. And at our school, I think we really work on making parents feel safe and like that they can trust us, and that we're going to walk through those struggles with them as much as we can. Because like for me personally, I want to find a solution. Like anything a family is going through, I want to help. I want to help be a part of the solution. And that's how we build this community, So I just want them to know they're safe with us.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so true. I think we are in this with the parents, and I think the last thing that I want is for parents to feel like they have to step on pins and needles to come to come talk to us about something, or that somehow if their child has a bad day, that's somehow a reflection on them, or they're like apologetic because their kid had a bad day. Like I don't want you to feel like you have to have that. Like we're all in this together, and we all have good days and we all have bad days, and we're just going to talk about that. So I mean, we're kind of getting close to the end here. A couple other things that maybe we don't all have to have everyone weigh in on, but I thought I've heard some mentions of it. Like,
Tim, could I jump in real quick just on the parenting really quick?
Yeah.
We're all so passionate about all these topics. We all have something to say, but I feel very strongly, just to piggyback on everything else that was said, parent involvement in education is one of the main predictors of children's success, whether it's academically, socially, emotionally. And as Savannah said, there's plenty of research out there to support that. And so when parents are involved in their children's education, they're sending a powerful message to children that their education is important and that education matters. And so I love to see, and I always love to see parents being involved, and not only moms, dads also, because children benefit from both male and female role models. So that's one thing. And the other thing is we are a school community, and we want to support parents as much as we can. So we want them to feel like they can just come on campus and work in the garden. We have our garden days that we're trying to set up once a month. We had our wonderful Blue Zones ribbon cutting ceremony a few weeks ago. We have our cooking demonstration coming up at the end of March. And these are ways that parents can come to campus and come to the school and just feel like they can just hang out and connect and bond with other parents. I don't want parents to feel isolated. I want parents to feel like they have other parents and they have a community of support, not just from us here at the school, but from other parents. Because parenting is tough. And parents need to be able to talk to other parents and share their experiences. So that's one of the things that I think we're really trying to accomplish here with our relationship with parents. And I think everybody does a wonderful job with this. So anyway, I just wanted to add my 2 cents.
Thank you, Maggie. And I know before we run out of time, I think another important topic that we should just touch on briefly is behavior issues. Like how do each of you in your classroom, and how do maybe talk about how you work with us in administration in the office? How do we work with behavior issues here at Shade Canyon?
I'll start. I've been working with my students on, in the beginning of the school year, you make rules. And it's, the rules are, being that I have a 2nd and 3rd grade class, they're old enough that they can help me come up with these rules. And so we talk about what we need from each other. And it's almost like a contract, if you will, of behavior expectations. What are the procedures we're going to do when we, have these problems? And so it's working together to create rules. And then when I think another big part of behaviors in the classroom, it's usually coming down to this, can I self-regulate? Do I have the tools that I need? And I'm not going to act out. Instead, I can regulate myself because something's got me really upset or something's very frustrating. And so we have a rule in the class where it's always okay to take a break. We have areas in the classroom where students can take a break. I'm okay with students. I have so many windows this year in my classroom. They can step outside where I can still see them. They can take a break. And we have a Harmony Center in the office where students can go to calm down and self-regulate. And so we have rules for our classroom. There's the school-wide rules, and then like within each group, being that I've organized my students where they are in a group, they talk with each other about their rules as well. And we've started a class agenda where if there's something that's going on where they feel like we need to, as a class community, come together and without using any names, but talk about something that happened and adjust for, these behaviors are making me feel unsafe or whatever our problems are, that we can respectfully talk about these things and come up with solutions together. And so we work on kind of a restorative justice.
We also in the kindergarten, we have 3 simple rules, which is keep yourself safe, your friends safe, and your toys safe. And we also, within that, we're working on also recognizing when you need a moment to reset. And you might be asked to reset sometimes if it's in circle and you're having a hard time sitting. And it's not you're in trouble. It's just a reset where you can kind of calm yourself. And we have a little calm corner. We have a reading little tent we can go in. And at times we might need also to not calm down. We might need to go outside and do some running around. And that also, so there's many ways to come about it and to come at it rather. And it's not just one set, like you've broken a rule, and it's very fluid, but there are boundaries as well, if that makes sense. I mean, so I just wanted to touch on the calm corner a little bit and then talk about also the other extreme of that. Like I said, like we recognize when you might just need to burn off some energy because you're in kindergarten. And also always checking in with, are you hungry? Did you sleep last night? How are you feeling? So that's a kindergarten thing, kind of checking in with yourself and learning, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, what's going on? So that's all I'll say for that. Someone else can speak.
Yeah, I can piggyback on that a little bit. You mentioned the hungry and tired thing. Those are things I will often look for because I do have a few students where if they're hungry or if they're tired, and if I'm unaware, it might get a little rough. So I'm always checking in with them. Hey, did you eat breakfast? Or how'd you sleep last night? And so it might just be as simple as getting them a snack or giving them some time in my little cozy corner to rest before they're ready to begin the day. And that's fine. I also have some other students where, along with the burning off the energy, maybe what they need is actually some kind of sensory input, maybe compression. So I'll be like, okay, squeeze the toothpaste from your arms, or give yourself a big bear hug or something, and it helps them kind of be more aware of, like, I'm here, I'm okay, let's have a good day kind of idea.
Yeah, I guess I've described myself as like the nicest drill sergeant in the world. Like I'm just, I have a way that we run the class, and there's really a routine and a flow that all the kids are familiar with at this point. And they know that if they're doing something, talking during class or misbehaving or something, I'm going to talk to them about it. I'm not going to raise my voice or say anything drastic. I'm just going to have a conversation and remind them of the rules of the class. And most of the time, that's all it takes for a behavior to be addressed. But the kids, they all know the flow of the day, and they know what's expected of them. And after like any kind of year when you're coming into a new class, the first couple of months is really based around classroom management and getting all the kids to understand, like, this is the way we're going to do school, and let's all make this work nicely. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be standing there asking you to do something all day long, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be the one who's disrupting class. So really, when you create a flow that the kids all are familiar with, and they have to enjoy it too, then it just it works on its own. Obviously, it's like you're trying to keep this form that is enjoyable but productive at the same time, and it can go haywire any second. But you have to, with a bunch of first graders, but you have to kind of have a sense for that. And what can I allow? What do I need to? What is this behavior going to lead to? 3-4 days down the road. And it's just there's experience that goes along. I spent a lot of time in group homes, and so there's just a kind of an experience that comes along with that. But allowing the kids to have fun, that's really important, and enjoy each other, because they love school. They really do. And if we can do that and get through all the things that we need to get through in the day, then we had a great day.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I want to just say one thing that the last kind of question I want to touch on before we go here is just to talk a little bit about what your hopes are for your students to achieve in your class before they move on to the next grade. But I think it's also worth mentioning that, John and Savannah, you're in a looping system where you're going to move up a grade with your class. And so that's a little bit different than our kindergarten teachers who will stay with the next year's kindergartens. So I don't know if you want to kind of mention that as well, or how that, it's another aspect of Waldorf education. It's a little bit different than public education, as you get to go through the years with your students as they grow, right? So if you want to just maybe like say any closing thoughts and just talk briefly about kind of your goals for your students by, their growth over the year, where do you hope that they they end up in their particular class before the end of June, and then we'll end it there.
Well, also, like you said, I mean, we have some benchmarks we work with, of course, tangible items that we want our students to be at. But I mean, overall, what I would want as they move on to first grade, to have that love of school, that love of learning, the love of the community, and the understanding that, we work together, and we love together, and we grow together. I want them to have an understanding of, that community, but and also a confidence, because even now I see there's, it starts to creep in. I can't do that. It's too hard. I don't want, and it starts early on. I don't know where it comes from so early that they feel they can't do something. So I would like to eradicate that and have them joyful and excited to move on. I think that's my main thing. Sorry, my low power just popped up and distracted me. Just an excitement for what's to come, a love of learning, and a love of just growing. I'll stop. Rachel, you can go.
Yeah, very much in agreement with Vanessa, and I would just want to add, along with that love of learning and enjoyment and excitement, some and confidence, and some amount of independence as well. Not totally independent, because they're still young, but some amount there, so that they know the tasks that need to be done, and they're able to go and do them. And then with the love of learning and growing, it makes me think of like just kind of that zest for life, just really just living life to the fullest and enjoying their childhood. And
that independence is a key part of that too. You're right. Like, that's part of having the confidence. So
yeah,
key part.
I want to add that, a huge thing that makes Waldorf different is that the teacher a child gets in first grade loops with them and continues to work with them. And that really kind of touches on the thing what we're talking about with behavior. As a teacher, you get to know your students so much better because you've been with them for multiple years compared to if you only have them for one school year. And it really helps address some of those things. And I've seen so much growth in my students from last year into this year. And it's really exciting, and it's really rewarding as a teacher. And it's hard to say exactly what my goals are. I guess I will definitely have some major goals when I am done with them, like when our looping time is over and I'm passing them off to middle school or high school. I'll for sure have some goals. My class is a bit unique because it's a combination class, and Waldorf is so specific about what to teach at what age, and it has a lot to do with meeting the child developmentally where they are, and sometimes where they are socially or morally, or the physical changes in their bodies and things like that, and how certain stories will meet them where they are. And so being that my class is combined, I've kind of worked out a system where I am teaching, this year it's a second and third grade combo. So I did second grade all the way up until our winter break. When we came back from winter break, we're doing third grade curriculum. And next school year, we'll start off with third grade curriculum through our winter break, and then we'll start fourth grade. And so I do feel like if I'm following, we have Live Education as kind of our guidebook for curriculum. If I'm using Live Education for third grade, I don't need to get through all the content by the end of the school year, but I do want to make sure that I do enough of it where I can finish it up in the first few months of next school year. And so anyways, I feel like if we can end the school year and everyone is still loving school and excited about being there, and the growth I've seen socially and how we've come together as a classroom community is just hugely exciting and rewarding, and it really helps the flow of everything that we do, that we can come together. That's really great, and I hope to continue that on next school year. My students are reading, they're doing math, so I'm pretty happy.
So, a lot of these, my students coming in first grade, we're really a lot of time focusing on how we're holding the pencil, how we're writing the letters. That's how we began the year. And we've definitely come a long way. I feel like I would like my kids to be confident with some basic spelling of some words and, the beginning phases of reading, doing some single digit and even double digit addition and subtraction. And some kids are doing much more than that. But just as in general for all students. And I'd like them to come in feeling more confident, maybe in social situations or navigating relationships with their friends and because they get so excited around each other. They love each other. It's really not great. And we see the whole spectrum of emotions every day, with a bunch of little kids. And you can tell that they're getting better at conflict resolution. They're getting better at their interactions with each other, and a lot of that is because we take a restorative approach. We're not telling everybody how to behave. We're explaining to them how to behave. We're explaining why we should behave a certain way, and we're bringing in not just maybe somebody who might have done something to hurt someone's feelings or hurt someone, but we're bringing in the person who was affected as well. And that's really what a restorative approach is about. And so I want my kids to feel like they have grown socially, emotionally.
Was cutting out.
I know we're almost out of time, but I do want to piggyback off that. Yes, I think that there's definitely some skills of like responsibility, integrity, being curious. I think that there are these characteristics that we work on, and that's part of that storytelling. That's part of the hands-on learning that we're doing. And I definitely don't want students that are only doing their reading and their math, but have those social things as well.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, we are kind of out of time, but I do want to give Maggie and Birdie any sort of last minute comments about the big picture of what we're doing here academically at Shade Canyon or in the classroom.
Okay, well, just going back to what we were saying earlier about education being holistic and the importance of educating the whole child, everything that you guys were talking about points to what is really important to remember, and that is that the most important outcomes of education can't necessarily be measured on a standardized test. So all of these things that we were just talking about are goals for our students as they move on to the next grade and as they finish in school. We want them to have curiosity. We want them to have a love of learning. We want them to have responsibility. We want them to have integrity. And we want them to become happy, well-functioning members of society. And so Waldorf education and education in general should benefit not only the individual, but give them a sense of their community and help them to develop that kind of a collective sense. And that's not to in any way diminish the value of academic skills. We need to teach them reading and math and spelling and all of these skills that they need to succeed in life. But it can't be the only focus that we have. And traditionally in education, you often hear the focus on IQ and test scores and all of these things. But there is an increasing body of research that focuses on EQ and emotional intelligence. And so all of these things we talked about, the ability to have that emotional intelligence, to be aware of one's own emotions, to be able to regulate one's own emotions. And that's a lifelong process. And I feel like our children are developing those skills very early on through all of the staff who are trying to help them develop this sense of their own emotions and how they can be used productively, so that they can be happy and so that they can make their community a happier and more peaceful and harmonious place.
I don't really have anything to add. I think it's really great to hear the teachers talking about themselves for one a little bit. And I think that you all are doing a great job with just modeling the little humans that we want them to be, you know. I'm very grateful my kids go to this school, that's for sure. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo that as well. Very grateful to have my kid here and to be able to get to work daily with all of you incredible human beings. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here and share a little bit about your work that you do. And I'm looking forward to more and more people coming to join Shade Canyon and for this community to continue to grow and expand. So thanks for all you're doing, and here's to the future. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.